So I guess I'm live. Never tells me. It's really weird. Hey guys, how you doing? It's me again. It's been a really long week for me with a lot of stops at the doctor and a lot of stuff in my head, dealing with who I am, family, all that, and also the chaos that comes every day with being an American. An American before probably one of the most consequential set of midterms ever. If you're seeing this live, please send it out and like it so we can get into the algorithm. Um, Again, my name is Will. You've seen me on the Ratio Boomer podcast, and I probably will be on there on Sunday again, which is Monday. Um, I hope your week is going well. I hope everything's going well. If you guys want to join me on there, I don't mind a community discussion. Just send a request. Um, but just wanted to get on here because this Friday has been, woo boy, it's been from the entire week. Okay, just a quick get some stuff out of the way. You can reach me here on TikTok, RJ12764 TikTok. I am on Substack at Binder38US and Substack. YouTube, Binder38US and YouTube. You can email me at kumquat6 at outlook.com. Kumquat is KUMQUAT, the number 6 at outlook.com. And you can send me a text at 470-236-2403. I do have some goals here to live. If you want to support me, that's great. Gifts are welcome. If you want to subscribe to my Substack, that'd be great. I would appreciate that. Again, that helps me out. Also, with the email and the phone number I gave you, if you want to do a one-time donation, definitely reach out. I'll send you a PayPal link, and let's see what we can do for you tonight. Alrighty, here we go. I think this is going to have to go back to Sunday. So, Sunday, right after I got done recording my podcast with Mike, I caught John Ossoff campaign speech here in Atlanta. Now, he does it every Sunday, goes to a church, a black church, and does a speech and a campaign rally. And they're really good because one thing about John Ossoff, he doesn't play. He's straightforward. He's a straight shooter. He doesn't try to bullshit you. Don't believe what they're trying to tell you, Republicans, or that, what Mike Collins is going to say. No, John Ossoff is pretty straightforward in what he wants for America. Found out that he, at age 16, was working with John Lewis. The John Lewis of the civil rights fame, the John Lewis who was there at the Pettus Bridge, the John Lewis, amazing. So he's been knee-deep in civil rights and knee-deep fighting for people for a very long time. Again, the 2020 election, Georgia, that'd be me, and the rest of my fellow brothers and sisters, put him and Raphael Warnock in the Senate. It's the best thing we've done because we have two people who really fight for us and fight for America. And you can hear that way Ossoff speaks. A lot of people are already putting him down for being the early runner for the presidential run in 2028. We'll see, but he doesn't want it. But again, neither did Barack Obama. But we'll get away from that. But in that speech, he talked about Donald Trump. Now, that day also, there was a report that Trump was bored. He didn't want to deal with the war. He didn't want to deal with the economy, doing anything. He didn't want to do the job. All he wants is to do his projects, do his race he set up. He's going to tear up the streets of D.C. with an IndyCar race. I just, whatever. But he's also, we got the ballroom, which John Roberts, as usual, supported Trump and let them build, which is, he's ruined the White House. He's changing the columns. He's still fucking with the Kennedy Center. He wants to build his arch. He's painted everything gold in D.C., and he still has 5,000 National Guard troops walking the streets of D.C. for nothing, other than to show that, you know, he could do it. Because Congress won't call him back on it because, that's Republican Congress. Hopefully that'll happen if we take the House, but that's another cat. That's a big hope. But in that speech, he basically, Ossoff said that. He said that Trump doesn't want to do the job. All right. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about the economy. He doesn't care about Americans. All he cares about is his project, his ballroom, and getting on his Qatari jet with Natalie and flying anywhere they want. When I heard that, I knew who Natalie Harp was. Okay. Natalie Harp is referred to as the human printer, and this was way back when. Okay. She was with him, I think, during the first administration. If you remember, she was the one that gave Leslie Stalls that big empty binder saying, yeah, hey, we've got a plan for healthcare, if you remember that. But she's been the one that prints out great stories for him. But people have already referred to her as a human printer, and he made that observation, and that's all he said. And my God, did he light up MAGA. They went fucking nuts. Because let's be honest, inside the White House, they don't like her. Now, security people consider her a security threat. We found out today she hadn't gotten a security clearance for a year. She wouldn't even fill out the application until Trump stepped in. She has contact with many foreign entities to get to Trump, which questions her loyalty. I mean, that's not the way it should be. And she follows him everywhere. The stories of her jumping into an SUV when they thought she was going to left behind. She slept in the locker room, women's locker room, Mar-a-Lago, because they didn't have a room for her to stay close to him. Story that I had a podcast is saying that when Trump was bailing on Air Force One in Turkey, when there was the threat that it turned out to be false, she pitched a fit to get on the catering truck. So, yeah, the Bill Clinton scandal, yeah, because the one thing about, I'm going to put it up, Vincent, because they kind of flagged it. Vincent, my friend from Canada, said Bill Clinton scandal pales in comparison, whatever this Natalie situation is. It's not, I don't care. Same thing with Clinton. I mean, he should have done it. Okay, but Monica Lewinsky had no access to Clinton like that. She had no access to a lot of information. She did not sit in meetings. There are, videos of her, of Natalie Hart inside all these meetings with Trump. She is everywhere with him, okay? She is a security risk. So it might be nothing. People refer to her also as a human binky because it makes him feel better. And, Trump, he needs younger women. And Melania is just, she popped out of a gopher hole yesterday. They probably made her. I've never seen a first lady never show up for anything. And she is the most basically non-existent first lady. She's just there to get paid. She got paid $40 million by Amazon to do that stupid documentary no one watched. To $40 million to Amazon, that's chump change. And then she just doesn't show up. She's gone now. She's gone. So the binky's back. I mean, that's what's going on right now with that. But it's just, that was the beginning of the week, and you saw all the MAGA influencers just go crazy, basically accusing John Ossoff of being misogynistic. No, he was being observant. And also, he knew what to do. He literally walked in, popped the grenade, and tossed it in the room and closed the door. And they went crazy. All right. And Matt found should get rid of him. I had a podcast compares her to Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction. Jenny's calling her the bunny boiler. If you know the movie, you know what I'm saying. But I don't know. I mean, from the letters and everything we're getting right now, because the good thing that what Ossoff did by tossing that grenade in the room is that everyone who had a bone to pick with her, all of a sudden shit's starting to get leaked. Stories are coming out that no one said anything about before. John Ossoff allowed MAGA to have distractions and go, oh, look what you're doing. Oh, the hypocrisy. Go, fuck you. Trump went after another female reporter. And don't give me this shit, Scott Jennings. We know where you're coming from. You want so bad to be his press secretary. And what did Trump do? He put up and said the best press secretary is him. I hope he does that. I hope he doesn't hire anyone. I hope it's him every fucking day. I really do. Because it's not going to help the Republicans in the midterm. It'll be a nightmare. Oh, quick note, there are some goals. So I have some gift goals, some hearts, donuts, anything. If you want to contribute, that'd be great. Again, it helps me kind of not having to work my ass off, but I appreciate y'all. So that shows how desperate they are for any kind of distraction, and no one's hearing it. No one's listening to it. I mean, I listen to these guys and you just go, a lot of people are tuning out. Now, also during the week, Tuesday we had midterms. We had primaries, especially in Florida. Florida, you had a couple of progressives win, especially Angie Nixon. Angie Nixon is a progressive, but as you can see, AIPAC and the Democratic establishment and Republicans are starting to go hard after progressive candidates. And they're playing the Hassam Piker card that I don't know why, okay? Because it's not like Alex Smith or Joe Rogan was not on the right side. No one complained about that per se. But you're saying that them being tied to him in those ways. They're not. The worst thing about it is to watch the mass media bite into that stupid bullshit about the Democratic social agenda with some kind of weird-ass libertarian thing about getting rid of this, getting rid of that. And I watched Angie Nixon's interview on Morning Joe, and they're looking for, do you want to defund the police? You want to do that? No. She's doing the same thing that El Said is saying in Michigan. Put money back in our pockets. Take care of us. Okay? But in Michigan, which concerns me, they have a movement of Democrats for Mike Rogers. I saw that news conference, and a good majority of these people were black, including a black legislature. And they're playing we can't let that Muslim win. Texas is totally the only strategy Republicans have right now is hate. In Texas, it is a total, full-on, blown attack on the Islam and the religion. There's a community, a church or a mosque in Dallas-Fort Worth. They want to build a bigger place. They won't let them. I mean, you'll let Joel Osteen do what the fuck he wants, but you won't let them do it. They are threatening, I swear to God, Texas is threatening to literally go in January with their state legislature and define what a religion is, and then try to ban Islam, not as a religion, and take away the religion protection, but as a political movement. Okay, that's a total violation of the First Amendment. And the Constitution does not lay out what a religion is. They're going to test that. And if there's a Republican majority in state house there, if they do that, and it will get challenged in court, if it gets to the Supreme Court, that's not good. Because what's religion? I mean, then you're just going to define what? Christian nationalism only is a religion? What about the Catholics? Methodist? Seventh-day Adventist? Okay? I mean, there are several different versions of Christianity aside from Buddhism, a sign of Hinduism. What are you going to do? You see what I'm saying? And so this is a slippery slope because they know that the only thing they have to do, the only thing they have is hate of the others. And in Dearborn, Michigan, that whole Jake Lang thing, I know it was ridiculous and it was a joke, and I know he's a caricature of a human being, Jake Lang. But what disturbs me was that I'm watching them in front of the Dearborn City Council. Now, what are you going to do? There's a Muslim community been there for decades. You know, people grew up there. It is what it is. I don't know what it. I watched those people, I guess, those things from out of state standing in front of the city council, and all I thought about looked like 9/11 again. But that's their plan. That's their hate. Okay, I mean, you see that on Fox News with Sean Hannity going, "Ooh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. You won't recognize the country that you're in now." I don't want to be in this country. All right, I want to be where people are respected again. There's empathy again. There's a social net, and yeah, people want medical care. See, the one thing that they done fucked up on is that if they had give the minor amount of money to do the ACS subsidies, it wasn't that much, 25, 30 million, 40 on the high, and kept people getting at least their subsidized ACA, we wouldn't have a discussion about Medicare for all. Now that people don't have any health care or it's way expensive and they're struggling, people are now saying, hey, screw it, we want Medicare for all, pay for everything. I want to be able to go to the doctor without having to worry and count pennies. I like to go to the doctor without tied to my job. That's the other thing. They keep saying, well, you just get a job in health care. No, some jobs don't give you health care. And then you have to pay for it in the job as part of your pay. And the company has to pay for it too. I do not know why corporations fight this. Because if you get Medicare for all, raise your taxes a little bit to pay for it, that's more profit for you because you don't have to pay your pay benefits for your worker for that. Even give them a little bit more money, it would work out. But these people just are so narrow-minded. They believe that this is some kind of socialism, national. Really? Socialism is what they're doing right now with data centers. You know, in the state of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro signed a bill saying that, hey, data centers got to pay for electricity, not the cities or the state. They're not paying for electricity. They're not paying for water. Every time one of those things showed up, they did a sweetheart deal with the commissioners. That's why those guys fight every time people come out or try to put those people in jail, because they know that the truth hurts. All right, they're ruining us. And also, the AI bubble is about to burst. What's going to happen then? What's going to happen then? And we're going to get to the economy in a moment because there's some really scary shit out there, guys, that we really have to discuss, we really have to focus on. Okay? I'm just kind of hitting some of the highlights out there. But that's the crazy with the primaries. So we got progressives there. There's a runoff in South Carolina for Lindsey Graham's, who's going to represent the Republican side. And his sister didn't really help by saying she doesn't know anything about national security. Whatever. The thing about it is, one said, who cares? The national Republicans don't know nothing. They really don't. They just do their own thing. I mean, President of the United States doesn't know shit, honestly, how things work, which is why we're in the situation we are when it comes to the economy. The bond market, and people, I know it gets complicated, but we sell our debt. We sell investment in the United States, which is a debt. And then, these 30-year bonds later pay off with interest. Okay, it's a way to get working capital. Okay, but the higher the interest rate, that means that you have to put out more interest rate for people to invest in the United States. Means you have to pay more in the back of it. Also means that a lot many people are buying the treasury bonds because we're a bad risk. So Scott Bassett saw that and he bought some back of the debt, basically buy your own debt back, which companies sometimes do, which we did, which I've never heard of doing. And a lot of economists are going, ooh, that's not good. And he was supposed to give you a long-term a solution for a while and a one-day solution. The rates dropped. The rates dropped, but then turned around the next day, went back up, and the stock market took a shit for 500 points. And right now, what Scott Bassett is doing when they talk about the jobs and inflation, he's ignoring it. He's literally ignoring it. He's saying we'll just outgrow it. He said there should be plenty of jobs because we picked up all those immigrants. Go get those jobs we took those immigrants out of. Yeah, okay, so it wasn't about criminals, right? I mean, it's just they ignore everything. They won't face up to the truth because they keep trying to juggle all this because we're at the end of the Ponzi scheme. And we're all going to get fucked holding the bag. All right, that's again why November is very important. Why they're panicking if there's a November wave, because there will be investigations and we're going to find out where's my money. Do you know that Trump is going to spend with all his projects close to $900 million, and that money is coming from the National Park Service. It's just taking it from the Park Service. I mean, good thing. I mean, they were building a fence in Big Bend National Park. Good thing they stopped it with a court. But how long is that going to last? Because they went to the Supreme Court about his big, beautiful ballroom. Federal court says you can't do it. And federal appeals court said this. Can't do this without going to Congress because Congress controls that. You have a budget for maintaining the White House. You can't just move money around. John Roberts said, yeah, it's okay. Let my boy do it. John Roberts, Chief of the Supreme Court, history will not be kind to you. It will not be kind to you. All right, you guys think you got it going. It's not going to be kind to you eventually. If you've seen the live, please like it. Please share it so I can get some more people in here. There are goals here. If you want to give me a gift, I would appreciate it. If you want to come up and speak to me about any of these topics, I'd be more than happy to listen to you. Or we can have a conversation about stuff. I don't tolerate idiocy. You want to have a good discussion, I'm good with it. But don't MAGA me. I don't play it. I can't. It's not worth it anymore. So it brings us back to how important this election is and how the Republicans are really working hard to get their hate on because that's all they have. It's looking like it should be a way, but I don't know. I don't trust polls. Here in Georgia, Mike Collins closed the gap a little, but he thinks that's a big deal. It's not going to be good for him. He is not good for Georgia, and we know that. So I'm expecting Ossoff to win. Maybe not by double digits, but he should clear the 50% mark so there's no runoff. I hope not. Roy Cooper is leading in North Carolina. It looks like the new guy in Maine is leading or close. Texas is a tie or 3 points or within statistical anomalies. Tell me, how in the fuck, Texas, do you vote for someone like Ken Paxton? I mean, that's all I'm going to say. The man is a criminal. But hey, you do you, but I just don't get it. You know he's not going to work for you. You know it. But I don't. I mean, it's crazy to watch that. Alaska, we don't know yet because you got Dan Sullivans everywhere. So it's going to be a tough fight. If Democrats can get the House, it'll be great. The biggest thing is that with the battle of progressives via establishment Democrats, and establishment Democrats really going out of their way to protect their territory, which I don't understand. Especially Hakeem Jeffries. Look, dude, listen to us. We want Medicare for all. We want something. We want to abolish ICE. Okay, stop listening to your fucked up consultants who keep telling you that, no, The middle of the road people don't want that. No, everyone does. Everyone is suffering right now, and it's going to get worse. All right, there are no jobs. There is no manufacturing. Do not believe this shit. $40 trillion. Oh, and then Vincent, thank you. How can so much damn food be recalled in the States? It's not even food, you got dog food. Alfalfa sprouts. What happened? Simple. RFK and Doge got rid of all the inspections and the inspectors. Because unfortunately, corporations think that costs us money. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of business. If anyone who's in the live has ever done quality control for a corporation, and you're the quality control person and you find out something, especially in food, trust me, you're public enemy number one. But you stand on it. I've done it. I've done it, and people don't like it, but it has to be done, okay? Because you can't put out contaminated food. But like Taylor Farms, put out contaminated food. Why? Because they're washing their produce with unpotable water, which could have feces in it, which leads to cyclosporin. You got alfalfa sprouts, possible salmonella. You've got blueberries. You've got outshine popsicles with glass in them. You got pieces of metal and stuff. They literally got rid of all that, and to top it all off, Robert F. Kennedy wants to get rid of those inspectors to look at medications too. It is going to get worse because you got a nut and the egg, salmonella. Thank you, Vincent. Because we have a man who has no idea. I don't know what he's talking about half the time. Okay? He's right. We're the sickest country because you're making us sick. And the vaccines? Really, dude. You spreading out the vaccines gives people more opportunity to catch it. And I'm sorry, childhood diseases are not something you want. Measles kill 1 in 100. Okay, it could leave you with it could leave children damaged. Okay, it is not a thing to mess with, and we had it conquered until these guys and all their bullshit came up and went against the MMR. And Trump's standing there or half asleep and waking up to tell everyone that we want to give it all to a child because they give you a soda bottle of immunities. No. Someone has had kids. No. Who live with a public health, who's raised by a public health nurse. No. It was insane. And the people buy it. And now more people are being granted childhood exemptions from vaccinations for school. That's literally diseased people walking in, ready to spread disease. That is just insane. And here it is, measles is bad enough. Wait till you start getting the whooping cough, and wait till polio comes back. If polio comes back, all bets are off. If you're skipping the polio vaccine and something bad happens, that's not good. Polio is not to be messed with. Okay? Thank you, Samuel. I appreciate that very much. Call them spreadnecks. That's good. I like that one. Yeah, he did. He also said, shine a light bulb up your butt to kill it because it kills with light. I understand that. And here's the ironic thing about the mRNA vaccine that Trump, with Operation Warp Speed, pushed forward because mRNA research has been going on and gave us the COVID vaccine, which was perfect. But he turned on it, although he took it, because people want to be, my freedom to die. How many stories did we hear during COVID of people going, I want the vaccine, and doctors go, and they die with regrets. Okay? I mean, Robert F. Kennedy actually said on national TV that COVID at the time, it was a lie. There were empty ICU units in New York at the time. And every surviving first responder or nurse and doctor went crazy. Hell, I wasn't there, but I saw them loading bodies into refrigerator trucks. I mean, they keep trying to change history. They keep trying to rewrite history. But we know what it is. It's on video. It's in the internet. You can find it. What I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what's going on in that brain-addled head that's making everyone sicker. And now they want to put a head of the FDA who's an anti-vaxxer. And again, the irony of all of this, guys, especially with his stand on the mRNA vaccines. mRNA vaccines target genomes, the actual structure of the viruses, so that so the body can produce genetically antibodies to fight the disease that they're looking at. Okay. That's what the bitch was with COVID because people weren't taking it, so it kept mutating. So they have to come up with new versions of the mRNA to fight that. But to announce this week, Moderna is finishing the third testing stage of an mRNA vaccine for cancer that will mimic most cancers, their genetic footprint. So if it does show up, your body creates antibodies and attacks it because they can match it to attack. And tumors with the mRNA vaccine, if you have it, can be turned against itself through that vaccine, using the tumor to destroy itself. Just waiting for approval for fourth stage and human testing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's incredible. That's like we're talking polio vaccine again. It's can you imagine that? But I don't know if we'll get past these idiots that we have in charge. The incompetency, the lack of knowledge that we have is ridiculous. I mean, Trump. If you want idiocy, they were telling Trump, asking him about the bond market. What are we going to do? They didn't work. We didn't set buying the things. And he said, well, the next thing we'll do is we'll use the military. How are you going to use the military on a bond market? He has no idea. And we're just flying off a cliff. And everyone's just waving as we go over. We're going for the ride. I don't want. So, I mean, shit. That's the thing. And I'm getting to the conclusion that the only way, I don't think it's because Iguchi that destroy thing that's positive about America. It's just that he wants America. There's a story in the New York Times, and I did a video on it. You'll see it. I call it "Why Are They Murdering Horses?" That the Bureau of Land Management is capturing thousands of wild horses on the plains, Mustangs. Cowboy stuff. Okay. And they're giving them to people to selling them overseas. They're selling them to people who are supposed to give them homes because that's the way they get around the law because you cannot execute them. Okay, you cannot, slaughter them. So they give them to these brokers for $25 a head, saying that hey, they're giving them good homes, and then they're selling their carcasses overseas to be slaughtered. And why would you do that? Why would you ruin such a like that? Is Americana to the core. Republicans keep talking about the American culture. We're all part of all cultures, but that is there, that Western part. And they're just getting rid of it. And this is nothing new because Trump once said that we needed to kill all those horses because that land is just there to be used. He doesn't see the beauty of the land. He just sees things to be built on it or dug up and ruined. And the horses are in the way. And Donald Trump and the Trump family, I will guarantee you, never had a pet. Never had a dog. Never had a cat. Never had a pet. Because to own a pet, it means you have to be empathetic to it. It means you have to care for it. It means you have to give it something that it really might not give you something back. other than it's love or let you pet it, or it's laughing at being with you. I mean, to an extent, it's a one-way street, especially if you own a cat. But I love my cats. Always had cats. Always had pets. We've lost a lot of them, and we have their ashes to prove it because they were family. And that a pet for a child, if they want a pet, shows them that they have empathy. Shows them that they're willing to take care of something. That's all part of the family. All right. Trump never had that. It's a loveless family. It's a loveless place. His father was a prick, and Trump grew up like him. Even worse. And the only reason Trump succeeded is that he failed upwards. And I got that from a book I was reading, a mystery book, where this detective, this retired New York detective, was dealing with some kind of, hick sheriff who kept giving him problems, who really didn't know what his job, but he was successful because he was able to talk his way here to him. And he's looking at him and he goes, it's hard to deal with someone who failed upwards because they got power they didn't deserve. And that's what we're dealing with Trump. He failed upwards. So, destroying everything that's beautiful America into something that he thinks is right, if it causes misery, makes him feel better. Cruelty is part of makes him feel. That's all he has. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't have joy in him. The only joy he has is cruelty. I mean, let's put it, to have Natalie Hart running around behind him, literally, cleaning his, what? It's like a guy from in a circus with the shovel and the broom behind the elephant. It's not that she really cares about her. It's just he enjoys the idea of someone debasing themselves for him. All of those people around him, all the sycophants, work hard to debase themselves in front of Trump because he really doesn't give a fuck if they do a good job. They just have to kiss the ring. Again, if you're watching this, share it live, and then like, and if any gifts, I would appreciate. Just want to kind of throw that on there. And that's what's going on. And I don't know why this con has worked for him for so long. I don't know. I mean, he should. Everything is done, bank run casinos and everything. He should have failed and slunk away. But every time he failed upwards. Like with the failed casinos and failed real estate, he failed upwards into that TV show. Okay, he was falling out of the limelight, but he failed upwards by becoming part of the birther movement against Obama. That was running out, so he failed upwards by running for president just to make his name in, and he won. And then he lost. But then he failed upwards by creating fake election fraud and January 6th to the point that people don't trust elections and Joe Biden and COVID. And that literally helped him fail upward to this second session as him as president. And now he doesn't care because he's getting paid. Millions and billions of dollars he's taken from us. And we get nothing. His buddies get everything. It is, and a lot of us accept it. And now we're in a war. We haven't even talked about Iran. The oil is depleting the oil supply. Prices are everywhere. The reality's there, but he lives in this fantasy, and Republicans keep feeding the fantasy. They have no solutions for us. They tell us there's no money to do it, but you got money to do all this other stuff, right, guys? You got money to do everything else. War. How's he going to sanction Iran? He already has. They've been sanctions before. They laugh at that. Why? Because they have the oil. They're sitting on the oil. That whole plan that he got rid of, the only reason why we don't have the plan is because it was I have Obama's name on it. Was it perfect? No, but it kept everything flowing. As my geek friends know, when I say this time, the spice must flow. And it's insane that people still think and follow him to everything he says. Listen to those guys on CNN. So, what sanctions, Vincent? I mean, the tariff thing isn't going to work. They trade with Iran. You can't sanction China. Yeah, you can't sanction China or Russia. And the Chinese and the Russians are giving the Iranians intelligence to bomb our bases. Okay? And here's the thing. This is how stupid they are. Okay? If you want incompetence, let's talk about what just happened today, a few minutes ago. Pete Hesketh has fired the editor of the Stars and Stripes. Because the Stars and Stripes, even though they're government funded paper, someone had an independent streak. That's where a lot of military guys went to bitch and complain. And they had stories about what was going on. And they had a story about what was going on in the USS Abraham Lincoln. And that editor got fired for it because he refused to step on the story because Hesketh brought one of his sycophantic public relations people to tell him to kill the story. So he got fired for it. So Stars and Stripes is going to get swallowed by the ego that is Pete Hesketh. And he's ruined the military. In less than a year and a half, he's destroyed the military. I mean, why logistics were not covered? They said that last quarter he had to spend $95 billion. Why didn't you spend it on logistics? Missiles, stocks, make contracts, build something for the future, not fucking baby grand pianos and lobster. Why? Because he got rid of the most competent people in the organization, which are normally logistics people. People who will say, hey, no, you can't do that because it's going to do A, B, and C. I don't care. You do what I want. And they either resign or they get fired. All the competent generals and people in Pentagon are slowly being, if not weaned out. And what you're left with is a lot of guys who may have been promoted but never given power. And that's a fearful thing. Because the United States military was not built like that. It was built on merit. But apparently that's not going to work. So the sailors are coming home now. And they look like they want to force them to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, so they won't talk about what happened on the USS Abraham Lincoln. The disrespect is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And Pete Hesketh is a wannabe. He's not a military man, and he served a cup of coffee, but he has no idea how the logistics work, how everything runs. I'm not saying that the Department of Defense wasn't rife with fraud and making money, but at least they try to take care of the soldiers. We learned from Vietnam. We learned. But now to watch people turn on him, I want to ask any vet out there, if they voted for Donald Trump, how does that work for them now? The betrayal of the man and just call them, suck it up. The lack of empathy is what we deal with every day. Lack of empathy to feel for your fellow American and what they're going through, to help, to do what Jesus wanted you to do. But unfortunately, the religion of choice are evangelicals who have twisted Christ's word, thrown out Christ's word and invented something else. Jesus do not support you guys. He doesn't. Because you violate all his words. Okay? And you don't care. Grace is about caring. Grace is about empathy. Right? I mean, you guys make yourself feel superior to others. That makes you a Pharisee. Okay? And you can't sell me on that. Evangelicals have been a problem since the first con man put up a big revival tent and said he could heal the sick and conned you for decades. It's no different. Okay? It's no different. And here's where this is where you can see right there. In Florida, Catholics have private schools. I went to Catholic school. Good education. Tough. And they're a cult. Evangelicals are a cult. That's correct, Coco. Um, but I went to Catholic school. Catholic school is straight. There's some religious teaching, but there is teaching. Okay, and it's separate. Religious teaching is separate than the actual education. But here's the kicker: in Florida, you can get exceptions for religion for vaccines in public school. Catholic Church is saying we're not public schools, we're private, and you can't. You're not walking into the school without all your vaccines, and they are going batshit there. All right, the Attorney General of Florida, who's a big anti-vaxxer, Catholic, is threatening to take their money, threatening to cut off their vouchers because Catholic schools have been backed up. They get a flood of vouchers going there because I'm sending my kid to Catholic school. Franklin Graham, you're talking about Darlene Graham, Coco. I'm not sure what that is. If you can explain, I appreciate the question so I can get the question answered for you. But the Catholic school said, whatever. We are not, the Archdiocese of Miami said, go pound sand. We're doing this for the health of everyone because we believe in the science. And they said, quote, there's nothing in the Bible against vaccines. They put that out. Oh, Billy Graham's son. Well, now what did he do? What do I think about him? If when I understand that man is not his dad, that's for sure. Billy Graham was a lot of things, but he had some holy in him. So it looks like Franklin's just another con man, from what I understand. If he did something special, I wouldn't be surprised. But you see my point? And that brings us back to that. If Texas starts to determine what religion is, what are they going to do with the Catholic Church? Because honestly, Catholic Church is the base of religion. Before the split, with before the schism, and Martin Luther, and the Protestant religions came up. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just they have twisted everything. That's why our forefathers did not want this to be religious based. It didn't mean there was religion in the United States, but they did not want religion to be the United States. They wanted the United States secular. It's true. Don't buy into that bullshit with Christian nationalists. No. They wanted us to be secular. Was it perfect? No. Did other people own people? Yes. But the base idea is they want us to be secular. I was talking to Mike, we were talking about American culture. They said they want us to assimilate. People need to assimilate. Culture is different in the United States everywhere, from Texas to California to Georgia to the Northeast to Alaska. Culture is society's reaction to its environment. That is a straight up definition from my anthropology classes. And so your culture here in Georgia might be American, but it's different than what it is in Southern California. I know it's different in Texas. I know it's different in Arkansas. It's different on the river in Mississippi. Different on the lakes, on the Great Lakes. Chicago's way different than New York. But we're all Americans. Why? Because we have the Constitution that binds us together. And the laws. And we follow the laws. And we can put our own spin on it. I don't give a fuck about evangelicals. In the sense that if you want to preach, fine. If people want to give you money, fine. Joel Osteen wants to have the biggest church ever. Fine. Doesn't mean I can't criticize you, but you don't force yourself on me. That's the thing. That was the idea. Marry who you want, love who you want, sleep with who you want, within laws, without hurting somebody. I mean, it's pretty simple. Yeah, and we all were immigrants. We all came from somewhere else. Period. End discussion. Even the forefathers came from England. Okay? And it's better. It's better that way. The America that Jake Lang and Project 2025 said, they never existed, guys. Never existed. All right, because you can't contain it. I mean, you had the racism and the Jim Crow laws of 1950, but that broke out because people want to be part of everything. They want the rights. They want their right of uh, what's to say in the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? We all do. And government and if people talk about socialism, government should have a base for everyone. We pay our fucking taxes to for the fire department, police department. You know, that's the difference to all of it. And if you want, hey, Brent, it's been a long time. How you doing? If you want, Trump. Right now we have a beef shortage, as you heard. Okay, cattle have been affected by this screw fly larvae that, thanks to RFK getting rid of the screw fly people, has crossed the border, and here we are. So we're taking a cattle hit. All right. Of course, they blame Joe Biden. They blame Joe Biden for everything. 2 years out of office is Joe Biden's fault still. God almighty. Um, so Trump has decided, because beef prices are high, supply demand also have been high. Beef prices are high. Hey, Shane, long time no see too. Beef prices are high. That he's going to import meat to the United States without tariffs. Where's the meat coming from? We don't know. And he's not going to charge them tariffs. But he is going to, that's going to affect the prices for ranchers now. And ranchers are pissed. And farmers, how you doing? Selling any crops lately? Trump has screwed you all, but you keep voting for him. You voted for him for his hate. Because that hate, it tastes good, don't it? How's it taste now? How's it taste now? What's affecting your livelihood? I saw a video there. I have a video here that I stitched. And my stitches never go far. But if you see it, please push it out and watch it. It shows, they got to be Texans, 4 guys. It looks like they're all Latinos, talking about they voted for Trump. They voted for Trump, but they did not think that ICE was going to do what they did, and it's costing them money because their construction crews are getting picked up. One of them, a Latino, says, I can't even lay a slab of cement without ICE showing up. And they're saying, this is not what we voted for. And I said, fuck all of you. Fuck you all. Because it's exactly what you voted for, you race traitors. That's exactly what they want, mass deportations. There are hundreds of thousands of people in fucking concentration camps that we pay with our tax money. Okay? Core Civic runs them. And these people are trapped and they won't let them go. Why? Because they get paid for it. There are people that they want to deport. They won't deport. They're holding on to them on the pretense that they're still running them through the system. There is no system to run. They fucking gutted it. They gutted the system. So these people are trapped. So the abuses go on. No medical care. Teenage girls getting pregnant. The abuse, deaths. And no one does a damn thing about it. The states that say, in Los Angeles, the LAPD helps ICE. The mayor of Los Angeles is proud of that. Karen Bass. Why that woman, from someone from Los Angeles, I'll say it straight up, if you're from LA, sorry. Sam Yorty was a better mayor than she. And if you know, you know. Because that woman, no. That was a mistake. Beginning to wonder if the billionaire would have been better. Because here we are. Because that's the thing. No one is standing up for brown people or so-called immigrants. Why? Because to them, they're not human. Look at the way they treat them. We have a paramilitary organization on the streets of America with no constitutional stopgaps. Warrant. What warrant? We don't need no stinking warrant. Hey, don't put your hand on them. You're coming with us for obstruction. They do whatever they damn well please. And here's the thing, the ironic thing of all these flock cameras, people are getting picked up for crimes they didn't commit or being abused by police, crimes they didn't commit. Police officers are using them to track dates or their ex-wives. Okay? But they can't, but there's no flock camera to see why many black people have been hanging from trees. Black folk do not hang themselves from trees. They don't hang themselves. They don't. And you can't tell me there's no flock information? Nothing. Just crickets. Every police department. A suicide? Really? Really? And just to top it all off, since we're on that vein, Gary, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, predominantly black. Northeast? Northwest. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Because it's like an algorithm, Gen X, they just take enough pictures and they kind of link together. It's an AI brain. Think hive mind. Okay. And that's what they're doing. So here's the thing. You can put in parameters with a flock search and they'll take information from any of all flock cameras in the entire country. It's not just specific. You see what I'm saying? On the way to the hospital for my wound care, I saw a flock camera outside the hospital. Can't miss it. All right. I mean, you used to miss it. Now I'm aware of them. This is that one little box in the solar panel. And in Gary, Indiana, they don't have any power. People are desperate for food, water, any kind of relief. No one's moving in there. There's not one utility truck helping them out. The federal government is saying anything. I haven't heard anything from the White House. And the state government is kind of like, we have that? Is that our part of us? They might have power in a month. I mean, but the majority of it is because, let's face it, community is dark colored. And they just don't care because the people in power. And it's really bad. Yeah, some of these Trump administration is jumping ship because they're afraid that that the House flips. And they don't want to be on the chop blocks when the investigations come out. So that's part of it. Part of it is too, I think they want to get away from the whole Natalie Hart thing. Because that's not going to end well. That never ends well. I mean, let's face it, Natalie Hart's going to be Trump's Eva Braun. Tell me I'm wrong. Melania is looking to get out of the way. Mentally ill? Yeah, I guess. I mean, like I said earlier in this live, the I Had It podcast, Jenny of I Had It podcast, refers to Natalie Hart as the bunny boiler, relationship to Fatal Attraction and Glenn Close's character. I wouldn't be surprised because Eric Davis ripped off the city of New York for quite a few $1 million because he's trying to stay out of the way of getting indicted. And simple as that. And see, Natalie Hart is such a security risk. It's not even funny. I mean, she is a security risk. Someone that close. But see, presidents have done this before. FDR had his nurse. He had a mistress. Eleanor Roosevelt knew about it, and she was with him all the time near the end of his life. This is not something new. All right. No, she had Brent. She finally got vetted, I guess. She finally filed the security forms, but we haven't heard anything. But she hadn't been vetted for a year. Sitting next to the president, sitting next to sensitive material. Word is that many foreign countries. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Thank you for bringing it up, Vincent. Many foreign countries touched Natalie Hart to get to the president, which makes me wonder, what is she getting? Maybe she's a true believer. I mean, she's literally the ultimate groupie. And sometimes they don't want anything other than his adulation. Literally. And yeah, diaper maid, his human binky. But maybe that's what it is. Like I said before, Trump has no empathy. I don't think he really cares about her. He just loves her being subjugated to him, that she kneels before him, does whatever he wants. That's where he gets off on. As simple as that. Pete Hegseth, his wife. Since when does the wife of the Defense Department write um, Defense Department policy? She is everywhere with him. She advises him. She doesn't want him out of sight in case he starts drinking again. That disturbs me. And also, she is the one to encourage him to basically flush women and people of color out of the out of the military. I don't know what it is about these evangelical women, these trad wives. I don't know what it is that they hate themselves and hate other women. It is insane. But I don't know what to say because that doesn't make sense to me. None of these men that are running this country can stand on their own. They are the most feckless bunch of men ever with no, literally, I'm going to say it, no gonads of their own. They subgrade themselves to Trump. They take his shoes. Every time they have a cabinet meeting, they have to lick him, tell him how great he is before they can say anything. And then everything's not their accomplishment, it's his accomplishment. I mean, they have to cater to his whims, okay? It's craziness. But they like it. I don't get it. And then they talk about manhood and testosterone. They wouldn't know what to be a man to save their life. They wouldn't survive on the street or to be a man. I mean, you don't have to be tough to survive on the street. You got to be smart, okay? And but as you watch them, I said this in a live, I guess, or I said this in a video. If you've seen the original 101 Dalmatians, Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil, great in a video. If you've seen the original 101 Dalmatians, Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil, great live action. It is one thing when she walks into her business and everyone's kissing up to her, and her main guy is saying this, that, and that, and she goes, she dismisses him. She goes, "Really? What type of sycophant are you?" And his response is, "What type of sycophant does Madam want me to be?" That's everyone in the Trump administration, from Scott Benson to Ken Hassett to Howard Lutnick to Howard K. Jr. They all are basically compromised to him. And I don't even think they have anything. I think they just do it. Always remember, in the bunker at the end of World War II, you know who, the people around him were still trying to please him even though everything was over. Because that's what they do. This is a cult. This is a cult of personality. This is what they're devoted to, is not the idea of America, it's Trump himself. That anything he wants, they'll get him done. And the Republican Party is the same way. They fear Trump, what he's going to do to them. Even though he really doesn't have that much power anymore, they still fear him. And you know who else fears Trump? The Democratic establishment. That's right. You motherfuckers, to quote Denzel, you fear him. You fear what he's going to say. You fear stepping out on your own like a lot of the progressive has and giving a simplistic message. I saw Hakeem Jeffries last week on Meet the Press. He was scared of taking a position, scared of saying Medicare for all, because he's afraid someone in the right-wing MAGA verse is going to write a bad op-ed. Scared of supporting anyone who's so-called DSA. Scared to abolish ICE because they're afraid people will say that that Democrats aren't tough on the border. They want to defund police. No, we just want that paramilitary peace organization off the streets because it's not constitutional and it's not right. And come up again with a immigration system that works for everyone. And it is because they are fearful of Trump and what he'll do. They fear that no one's going to vote because they took a stand. What's that line from Hamilton? If you don't stand for anything, what will you fall for? They don't. I'd watch Jeffries. What are you talking about? And you can contrast, and I start this earlier if you weren't here earlier, what he's talking about to the way John Ossoff talks. And Ossoff set them on fire with one paragraph, with one line, and he never accused Natalie Harper of anything, just that Trump just want to hang with her. He set them off. But he's brutal. And you listen to the other one, like El Said going after Rogers and going after Trump. The other people fighting for us. And meanwhile, in Washington, these established Democrats sound like Republicans. They're so afraid of someone saying something bad or Trump saying something bad. And they're afraid of losing their power. One thing here, if they take the Senate, the United States Senate falls in the Democrats' hands, Chuck Schumer is not going to be the majority leader. He will not be the majority leader. I wouldn't want led by that old 75 wine sop. I mean, he's as stiff as a wet taco. Here's the thing. When some people curse, you believe it, okay? When other people curse, you go, oh, that's an act. And I've seen Chuck Schumer do that. So how can Jeffries do that? They are always calculating and weighing what is going to benefit them, not the American people. And that's the thing. It's about fear of something that might happen. But you see, that's courage. Courage is doing something against the fear of something might happen to you for taking that stand. If you take that stand, you may lose your job. If you take that stand, you may get totally eviscerated by the press. If you take that stand, you may lose support. If you take that stand, people may think you're crazy. But if you take that stand, you may benefit people. If you take that stand, you may raise people up. If you take that stand, you may right a wrong. See, that's courage. To do it with knowing the fear of consequences. And when you fear the consequences more than doing the right thing, then you get the Democratic establishment. Because that's what Republicans have been running for decades. Brent, I will not do that. Michael Cohen was a joke, and for him to do that is sad. Talk about a man who lost himself. Screw that. I'm not going to give him 30 seconds of my time anymore. Because how much worse could it be, Brent? Honestly, dear, how much worse could it be than it could have been? It would have been the all stuff. Come on. He was his fixer. He just got pissy. He thought he could con us. He got caught. Because it's always about him. Welcome to the world of Trumplicans. Always about them. The sycophants. What can I get out of it? Again, also, courage means doing something for the benefit of others at the expense of yourself. That's what we need. That's what we need again in this country is freaking courage. Courage. Let's see what this country is freaking courage. Courage. Let's see what this is. Hey, Aquariano? Is that correct? Or did I pronounce that?
It's Aquariano.
Aquariano, I knew you messed it up. How you doing, brother? What's up?
I'm doing all right. I pop up in quite a few lives. Trucker T knows me pretty well. I've been in a decent amount of his lives, and I've popped on with Mike a few times, and whatnot. So, just in regards to Hakeem Jeffries, he's very much compromised by the establishment Democrats, and
Hmm.
it's because that's the old guard. They don't want to let
Right.
go of power because they're literally afraid of becoming irrelevant. They're afraid of nobody asking them opinions on things. They're afraid of not being in the room when these big decisions are made because most of them are so well off financially. You could
Hmm.
retire, spend time with your grandkids, and in some cases, great grandkids. Go stay at your vacation homes. Go, on your boats and stuff like that. And it was like, why are you continuing to more or less come to work to a job that you don't even really want to do anymore? Like, that's what I've never really understood about it. And Hakeem Jeffries is one of those people that he was kind of propped up because they're like, oh, well, we want to show that the Dems are, they're down with change and this and that. And it was like, hey, let's find a guy whose name is as ethnic as we possibly can to show that
Right.
we're on board. And then as soon as he got in, they kind of tied his hands behind his back and said, wait your turn. And he's been waiting for so long
Eh,
that he's become one of them.
I think he got indoctrinated because remember that's Nancy Pelosi's boy, and I think he got indoctrinated by her because Nancy Pelosi, if you remember, when AOC came up with the other two, the what did they call them, the crew or whatever it was, she stepped on them hard. She stepped on them hard.
Oh,
She just
yeah.
does not like progressives, and that's a lingering thing from them. The problem is that, and this is my opinion. I want to see what you think. That the establishment Democrats pretty much basically nailed themselves when Chuck Schumer refused to stand about the ACA, when he refused to close the government and only accepted they'll take a vote on it. That's when they finished the established Democrats, because the ACA is what people are really pissed off. Healthcare. That's the biggest thing right now. And him saying, doing that and explaining away, well, the rest of the government needs to be open. Bullshit. I knew that was it. And that's what they keep trying to tell us. Everything's going to be okay. We can compromise. There's no more compromise. There is no more compromise. I think that makes sense. We have to wield power like a hammer.
Oh, no, no, you're absolutely right. And as far as Schumer saying, "Oh, well, the government needed to be open," no, what it sounded like is there was a consensus between the left side of the aisle and the right side of the aisle that they needed to keep getting those paychecks that we, the
Right.
American people, so graciously contribute to. That they needed to keep getting their health insurance that we so great. I love that they have better health insurance than I can afford
Right.
because of the generosity of the American people. And that's all what it comes down to. It's money, it's greed, and it's not even just a greed for money, it's a greed for power and influence.
Yes.
Like, that's why you have people like
That's
Chuck
it.
Grassley, who's going to be like 1,000 years old running for office again.
Oh God, I saw that. I'm going, really? Honestly, but that also is Republicans because they want a name recognition. Annalake, Iowa, and Eric made a good comment once that his son might run, and they basically will just put in the name. Oh, they see Grassley and just vote for Grassley because that's what they've done all their life. Is
Yeah,
vote
he
for
doesn't he
Grassley.
doesn't have to do anything. He literally just keeps
Right.
running and running and running, and it's because, you run in an area where either the people that vote, I mean, a lot of those people are dying off in the next couple of years. So it is going to cause like this massive shift in the voting thing. And the problem is a lot of the old guard on both sides, on the left and the right, the older ones,
Right.
they're used to the way things used to be, where it would be like if it didn't pop up on CNN or Fox News or in a newspaper, then there really wasn't a way for it to get around. It becomes kind of conjecture and hearsay. But now you have social
Yeah.
media. So when they say something stupid and inflammatory, it's it's there. It's in cyberspace. It can be watched over and over again, and then that's getting blasted out to millions of people so that they can see it. So then you can't even walk stuff back. Like the amount of times you've had politicians get confronted because they're like, "Well, I didn't say that." And it goes, "We literally have you on video at this other thing saying that
Mm-hmm.
exact statement." So it's people are smart in the sense that they can kind of see the bullshit and they're calling them on the bullshit, so they don't know what to do. They're kind of frantic, but it's on both sides. That's what I always tell people. I was like,
Right.
yeah,
And the thing about you see is the lies and the bullshit they used to feed us is not working. The biggest thing they keep feeding people, and I see in the town halls, especially Republican ones, we can't afford to do social programs. What do you mean you can't afford the social programs? He's spending $900 million for like all this stuff in the ballroom. He was spending $1 billion a day for a war that nobody wanted, and we can't afford the amount of Medicaid or Medicare. It's bullshit. You know how much it would have cost for to subsidize the ACA? I think it was like $40 million of subsidies to keep it going. That's all it would have cost. No, we can't afford it. Now you're going to end up with Medicare for all, whether you like it or not.
well, the
Like it or
thing with
not.
the ACA is, and the it's kind of a double edged sword because again, this is
Mm-hmm.
something that kind of came up during Obama's terms and stuff like that.
Right.
Is Democrats in general were just like, oh, you know what? This seems like this will work. This is a good stopgap, and then they never wanted to move past that. Like they just got to that one point and they settled on it. That's why they have such a problem with progressives because progressives show that stuff can be done. That's why so many of them don't like Mondani because Mondani
Oh
is
God,
literally
yes.
showing all the shit that excuse my language, sorry, all the stuff that's going on in New
No.
York that Eric Adams ignored for years and previous mayors ignored for years. Mondami's like, okay, what needs to be done? All right, cool. Let's go ahead and do this. And what he's showing is that a lot of Democrats have a bad habit of they promise and promise and promise during campaigns. And then over the course of however, it's the promises to get them reelected or get them in an office.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just slow walk everything. Oh, well, it's bureaucracy and it's paperwork and it takes a long time. And it goes, no, you're slow walking it because it was a campaign promise. It wasn't anything you were particularly interested in because it doesn't affect you. You don't really care. So when you have a mayor that is doing stuff for his city and he actually has a smaller amount of power than a lot of these old school Democrats have, like as a whole, as a party. And it was just like, so what's your excuse? You actually have more power and more reach. What's your excuse for not doing anything? Like, it's that status quo of, we'll just get back to the hemming and hawing and
Right.
dragging stuff out. People are tired of it. Like, people are just kind of exhausted.
And what did they fall back on? His religion. That's the only thing they have. And that's the
Yeah.
only thing they're running on now. Is like you see what I don't know if you saw, but I saw it up in Michigan. Democrats for Rogers against Saeed, and it's all anti-Muslim bullshit. Because Mike Rogers is a joke. He's a freaking Trump-la-fuck, and they running against him because of his religion. I don't get it.
And his
I
religion
mean,
it doesn't factor into it at all.
no,
It's no different than Republicans using the boogeyman of Sharia law for years and years and years and years and years. And it was like I've lived all over the U.S. I've lived in the deep South and everything else like that. The scariest religion I've ever come across in Mississippi was Christianity and Southern Baptists.
exactly
That's some
evangelicals,
scary stuff. Yeah, that whole
and
thing is
that's
fairly scary, but it's the hypocrisy of our supposed democracy. It's just, and it makes no sense. Like Al Saeed, I think that he can do some good, and you've got these progressives that are winning, and they're willing to make changes. They're willing to make changes and stuff, whether it's on, and I tell people, stop focusing on just the presidency. Because as you can
yes,
see, a president is only going to be as useful as the Congress allows him to be, as much, sort of slack as they give him to do stuff. But you got to focus on stuff at a state and city and local and county level
local
because,
levels.
yeah, that's where the changes happen. You have a problem with data
Eh,
centers, get in, get on the case of your local leaders and stuff that are getting kickbacks for data centers that are essentially just
yeah,
they're going to end up like old abandoned Kmart's once all this is
that
done.
that it's starting already. And the funny thing about it is, it's starting too. Like in Pennsylvania, they had a school board election at the place where Monster Liberty started. They flushed all those people out. in one election. So people are paying attention. And I thought one good thing, did you see the case of the guy who took apart a flock camera in Ohio?
Yeah, my mom had sent me something about that, so I was kind of like
Yeah.
flipping through it.
He, I mean, he did it. He literally did it. He just took it apart, all that, was salt on it, was arrested, and the grand jury refused to indict him. And those things are just 1984 to the extreme. But I have one question: if flock cameras are being used so law enforcement can track their girlfriends or ex-wives, or to accidentally pick up someone because they thought it was a stolen car because they read the license plate wrong, how come those 8 African Americans who hung themselves, there's not one fucking bit of information from a flock camera saying that these people were murdered? That's my
Because
question.
you know why? Because it's not the concern of it's not the general concern of those people. If it was something that affected them enough to really look into it, then they would. If those people that happened to were star football players on University of Alabama's football team, they'd be all over it. If they
True.
were star players for whatever pro team or pro basketball team or pro football team or something like that, they'd be all over it. You know, and so that's why I tell people it's just there's so much going on, and we're at the point now where the bar has been set so high for how low stuff can get. I'm at the point where I'm not remotely surprised. Like I listen to Boomer and stuff like that a lot, but when stuff comes up, it's like I'm not even remotely surprised. Like the situation with Natalie Harp doesn't surprise me at all. Melania popping up like a day or two after Ossoff put them on blast does not surprise me because Melania may be vapid. She may be disinterested in being a first lady and all this other stuff and pretty much doing anything like at all or whatever else like that. But she would literally separate somebody's head from their shoulders if she thought that person was going to get in the way of the money that she is going to make when she's eventually the widow of a president, all the money from the interviews and the merchandising and the books and the movies and everything else like that. If she thought somebody was going to get in the way of that or the money that's going to get left to her kid, Natalie Harp would take a vacation like on a TV show. She would take an extended vacation.
I love it. They always conservatives talk about how sensitive liberals are. They always want to own the libtards. I had recorded my podcast with Mike that Sunday, and after I got done, I saw John Ossoff's speech. So I said, okay, let me check this out. And as soon as he said he wants to fly on this Qatar jet with Natalie, I looked up and go, oh, John. And I knew who Natalie Hart was, okay, or Harp or whatever, the human printer, the human binky, whatever. But apparently so did everybody in the White House because they flipped the fuck out. He never accused him of anything. He just said the truth.
Well, what do they say? What is a hurt? What do they say? A hit dog a holler or something like that, or hurt dog a holler, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to. Basically, the paranoia of it and them knowing what it's like is what kind of caused everybody to like freak out about that. But it was just like she's insane. She is certifiably insane. And I've sat there and rewatched videos of when like she's around him when he's speaking. And I was like, she would absolutely lock herself in the bunker with that man and break the door handle off for all eternity.
Yeah.
Like she would do it. Oh, she would. It would basically be like one of those weird things in a movie where like somebody put somebody else's head next to theirs and then was like, oh, look, a water gun, like that type of situation. She would do that. She would absolutely do
that. I had a podcast, Jenny refers to her as the bunny boiler, as opposed to the character who came from Fatal Attraction. because she says that's the level of obsession. Hey, it's not surprising. I mean, every despot has had that. I know Stalin did, Mao did, all of them did. Has this type of female despot, female devotion.
I think
Always have one.
it's noticeable too because she's not homely looking. If she was just some homely looking person that was just there, and you'd be like, "Oh, she's just a Trump aide," and you wouldn't know. But it was like, no, he had to make sure that she, looked a specific way
Right.
and is attractive in a specific way. And I was like, oh, well, I know what he finds attractive, his daughter. So
Pretty
that's
much. Pretty
that's what
much.
makes her stand out. And I was like, do you know how like on fire John Ossoff had to make just everything in that White House for Melania, who I have not seen in months, to pop back up?
Oh yeah, it's just ooh,
oh my!
yeah,
I
like
was
a groundhog.
I was
And,
like,
and,
wow. It
and
was
I
like a
mean,
TV show good.
it was, and she's. I just, I. The thing about it though is that she's hated in the White House, Natalie Hart, because all the rumors came out. All of a sudden, all her love letters popped up out of nowhere. Really, I mean that
you have
they're
aides
looking
in there
to.
that are just like, I need this job, I need this job, I need this job, but I'm also sick of what's going on in here. So, stuff is gonna dribble out a little bit, a
Right.
little bit at a time, and everything like that. I think it's amazing that she doesn't have to have a security clearance and everything. The background check that I had to go through with the Department of Defense, and I worked at the Naval Exchange on the base. The
Jeez.
background check and security clearance that I had to go through, they went through with a fine tooth comb. I have a file with the Department of Defense.
It's just, and she was ignoring it. She was hiding it, and a lot of foreign people were trying to get a hold of
Having
her because she was
security
close to the president. That's
she can
scary.
she can opt out of it. And I was like, you could just opt out of it. I was like, so what you're saying is I could just pretend to be MAGA and probably grift my way into a White House position with little to no experience whatsoever, like none. Like,
That's
Will,
pretty much the cabinet, isn't it?
Do you realize the kind of jobs we could have, Will? Think about that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can be the Secretary of Transportation. I'll be the Secretary of Energy. It will be the most lit thing in the world.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The difference between you and I. We would try to do the job right. We would try to figure out how to do the job right.
But we also realize that there is going to come a day where you're no longer in that job, but the eyes of the world are still on you, like you've been seen. So all of these people that are going along with this and everything, there's going to be a day where they have to essentially stand on that stage, and people will be like, "What? What the hell were you thinking? What is your absolute excuse? Like, why would you even do this?" That's why when he went through the whole process of pardoning those January 6 people, it was like, okay, that's cool. He pardoned them. They're guilty in the court of public opinion. I don't care if you got a presidential
Oh
pardon.
yeah.
I'd never hire you. I would never hire you for my company. I'll make up a million and one reasons why I'll never hire you. So you essentially are now going to probably put yourself in an even worse position than you already were. Like,
Because
get into this. Yeah.
you do understand that a pardon doesn't erase the crime. Just means you're not being punished for it. It's
Yeah.
still on your record as a felony.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
I
was
mean,
yeah, and that's what I think. And I was like, a lot of them were like, yeah, he pardoned me and this and that. And it goes, but you understand that because of what happened, everybody knows who you are and what you did. Everybody
yep.
knows. That means every time you walk into a place, which means the only places you're going to get to work at are probably places where they're going to underpay you. And when you complain about it, they're going to be like, hey, man, you should be lucky we hired you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a good example of that, Mike Collins, who's running as a Republican nominee for Senate here in Georgia, he was in Savannah, and he got a question from a Savannah business owner who was at January 6th, who was convicted, who did do time in jail and was pardoned by Trump. He was asking Collins if he would support the slush fund so we can get some money to rebuild his business. I'm going, what the hell? And Collins didn't say no, didn't say yes. But I mean,
well, you
it's
remain
insane.
neutral on it so that you can't necessarily be skewered for saying yes or no. But the slush fund should not even be a conversation that is being had, because it was like,
Right.
under that, then let's go ahead and let's find every single person that got locked up for an ounce of cocaine or an ounce of crack or a gram of weed. All of those people that were locked up for that in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, you know what? Let's all get them some money to reimburse them for what they went through then for that. Let's go ahead and do
Right.
that. But they wouldn't want
Yeah,
to do that because, then there's the hypocrisy right there again.
yeah, because you
You
had the
know,
mandatory sentencing for even one little bit
yeah,
of first-time offenders,
yeah,
which they got rid of later on.
which ruined a ton of people's lives. And you had governors and stuff like that in red states that when they decided to overturn stuff, people were getting out. And these people are going to these governors like, look, I would appreciate it if you could, get this sealed so that I would have a chance to try to have a life again, because I got locked up at 18 and I'm now 30 and I'm trying to have a life and I can't bring it back around. And you have governors being like, no, I couldn't possibly do that. And it was like, oh, because it's not the governor's kid. It's not the governor's grandkid.
Exactly.
It's not the governor's nephew. And it's so. This is the weirdest season of the United States of America we're living through right now. This is the weirdest. It's a terrible TV show.
I think you hit it right now. It's a TV show. I had made a comment. I know if you heard it. I was reading a book, a mystery book, and it was dealing with like your typical genre stuff. Retired hotshot detective stuck in this small town with a serial killer, and the local sheriff is just really just in there for the politics. And he was looking at the guy, and he said in New York, he knew how to deal with these guys because these are men who failed upwards. In other words, even though they suck at what they do, they keep getting promoted. They keep getting power. They keep failing upwards. And I kept thinking, Donald Trump has really failed upwards.
Oh, he's an example of it. He's a big example of it.
I mean, he failed upwards when he lost all his money that his dad gave him in bankruptcies with the casinos and all that, but he failed upwards into the TV show. And then he was kind of falling backward. He failed upwards with the birther movement. And then that was falling back. He failed upwards by running for president just to get his brand up. He ended up winning. He failed upwards when he won again because he set off the whole election thing. This is what we keep dealing with. A man. That's, I think, the hardest thing to deal with Trump is he keeps failing upwards. He keeps advancing, even though most people would be done, finished.
Well, as my dad said, he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, it is because he is a white man, and that allows him to essentially do that. He's going to get given more chances in every avenue of life than I would or even you would to an extent, Will. And it was just like anybody else that basically almost failed out of Wharton would not have gone as far as he did. Anybody else that basically, bankrupted casinos and sent businesses under and stole money from people and everything else like that wouldn't have been given a chance. Banks would not have given him a chance. It got to the point to where banks were essentially giving him more money so that he could pay back money he already owed them. And it's one of those things where it's like, that's why he's kind of allowed to do that in life, and nobody ever told him no. I still say, and I stand on this, him running in 2016 was a PR stunt. He never expected to win because even if he hadn't won, the money he would have made from the books and the lectures and the speaking engagements and everything else would have set him up. He got in, and then he got in a position where he could turn his grift up to 1,000, and then he realized that there were all these people and the thing about it is, I tell people are not afraid of him. He's an impotent loser. They're not afraid of him. They're afraid of the people that support him. The Republicans are not
Yeah,
afraid of Donald Trump. They're afraid that if they disagree with him on TV, that some psychos in red hats are going to run up in their house or try to run them down in a parking lot or take a shot at their family or something like that. Like
yeah,
that's what they're scared of, which is crazy because I'm going to put my trust in the Secret Service agents that are guarding me versus, some Billy Jack with with a sawed off. Like I'm gonna go ahead and put my faith in
always.
that.
But always remember this: on the day of January 6th, when Mike Pence they were going to take him away, when the Secret Service came to take him away, he refused to go with the Secret Service agents because they were Trumps. He
Yeah,
didn't trust them,
yeah, no,
and
he refused to get in
he
the
did
car. Yeah, but the irony is that
because
Mike Pence has kept silent, just quiet as it's kept about the whole thing, and it was just like this person was essentially like this is your quote unquote colleague that basically riled these people up, and these people were going to string you up and you say nothing about it because you'd rather just let it be than come out and be like, the man is insane. Now, mind you, Mike Pence is scarier than Trump could ever be because Mike Pence 100% believes in his convictions, like in his beliefs. Trump is
okay,
like, yeah, that's that. I always said Pence was scarier than Trump.
yeah. But now we're in the second part, and I think everything that he's done, the lies, he has taken so much money that people now go, oh wait, that's not the way it should work. He has ruined everything so badly that people are beginning to realize all the shit he's told you is a lie. They're beginning to come to that conclusion. Only his grade A deepest sycophants are hanging on for dear life.
And that
I'm not saying
circle's
there's a
shrinking. Yeah, that circle has been
yeah,
shrinking.
and he like today with the economy is teetering on the edge of a depression. Let's be honest. The bond market, monetary,
Yeah.
the interest rates, the lack of jobs, the lack of growth, stagnation. I mean, these are things that are reality. But the people around Trump keep him in a fantasy world. I mean, Scott Bensett just said, "Hey, we're just gonna grow our way out of it. And if you need a job, all those immigrants we just picked up, they're jobs for you. Go replace them." Which I thought, oh, really? You went there? God Almighty, these people are just
Well,
pathetic
yeah, I mean
and
they're not
scary.
gonna they're not gonna be able to look at that stuff and they're not gonna look at those statements and be like, oh wow, this is really crazy for me to say this. And it was like the whole reason that we're in the situation we're in now is because you came in and essentially blew everything up, and then you're so busy filling your pockets. Oh, sorry. Sorry, boom, boom. Sorry, boom, 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 booming everything up. I just got like a restriction
Yeah,
thing.
I saw that. I
Yeah,
just,
sorry, my fault, my fault. Sorry.
why is your
But
fault?
yeah, like they come in and they say that they do all this because they're just lining their pockets and lining their pockets, and it was like you understand that if the country collapses into a depression, your money is not going to mean too much of anything, especially if the value of the dollar dips. Your money is going to be worth less. If banks start folding, they're not going to give you your money. And there aren't obviously a lot of people alive at this point left that were alive during the crash of 29 and everything. But there are plenty of people that were alive in the 80s when Black Monday happened. And
Well,
people
no,
were,
you can go
yeah,
to the Great Recession,
yeah,
2005, 2006, which
yeah.
is just as bad as 29.
Yeah, I graduated high school in '06, and then the bottom fell out within a year
Right.
or so. And I had friends that were getting phone calls from their parents and stuff like that in college when we were in college. Their parents basically saying, "Hey, I don't know what to do. You have to try to see if you get financial aid. Like I got wiped out. Like we're gonna have to sell the house." And these are people that
Yeah, it
were,
was bad.
fairly upper middle class by, 2000 standards, early 2000 standards. People that got wiped out. I know people that, families never recovered and everything else like that. And these were, I went to a high school where there was a decent cross section of, your people from working class families and stuff, and then your upper middle class. A lot of them, their families never recovered from that, or they're just now at the point where
Right.
their parents are like, all right, I'm finally done working and everything else like that. But they could have been done working in 2010, and they had to basically jump back into it again.
Yeah,
So
and
it's gonna
I
happen.
ended up in Georgia because of it. But I mean, I rebuild. But the point is now there is so many things I can see for someone who's taken basic economics that this is not good, and they keep lying to us and keep lying to Trump. I when the bottom falls out, I don't know what to tell you because it's not going to be good.
And
It's
it's
going to
gonna
be a
be
hard crash.
and it's gonna be worse. I think it's gonna be worse this time around than it
Oh
was
yes.
last time.
Oh yeah.
Because we're
And
only a few years out of COVID. We're literally only a few years out of COVID, and that caused a bit, like, that was a huge dent in just everything. But it's just like, like I said, it's the greed that amazes me, because it was like, you're stuffing your pockets, you're stuffing your pockets, you're stuffing your pockets. It's like, if you're like an 80 something year old person, you're not out there riding jet skis in Key West with bikini models. Like, you're shaking trying to, you're shaking trying to put your spoon in your mouth to eat your oatmeal in the morning. Like, what are you going to do with the money? Are you a pharaoh? Are you going to be buried with it?
yeah, I mean, I mean, the best one of the best lines to describe that I'll never forget was Don Henley line. There, you don't see any hearses with luggage racks. Simple as that, bro. You ain't taking
Yeah.
it with you.
Yeah, you
I
you
mean,
can.
and
You can leave it for your family, but what you're not there's not the state of the world that you're going to leave for what's left. That's why I believe when he's gone, within a couple of years, his granddaughter, the one that's kind of like, pops up on stuff and everything like that, they're all going to start, like, those kids, they're going to start going to like maiden names. Like, that name is going to
right.
kind of disappear the way that that man from Germany, because there was like a little documentary I saw a couple of years ago about some relatives of his, and I think they lived in upstate New York or something like that, and they refused to have children because they wanted the line to end and everything else like that, and they
Oh,
were
jeez.
they were direct
Wow.
relatives of his. And the gentleman, they're just like, nope, we did not marry, we did not have kids, none of us. Like, it ends. We wanted it to end. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to become a thing where it's going to be a punchline. And as much as I would prefer
And
him to be around to see it happen, I'm okay if maybe he kind of goes to hang out with wherever Mitch McConnell's hanging out at.
yeah, I mean, at the end, I believe if it, if worst case scenario for him, I will say this: a lot of people say, "Okay, great, he'll be replaced by JD Vance or Tucker Carlson." No, he won't.
JD
You
Vance
guys have to
doesn't have the
understand.
pool. He doesn't have the pool. He
Nope.
doesn't have the
It's
charisma.
not. It's not even that. This is literally a religion, and I think I said this in one of Mike's live is that they're going to go the way he's going to go the way of Elvis in the sense that he's going to pass and everyone's going to say no he didn't no he just moved on. You're going to see, oh, I saw him at a gas station in Little Rock,
Oh yeah, he's not
or he
gone. He
came
just
to
went
me in a
home.
dream. Yeah, he came. Yeah, yeah. I remember. I love that line. And but like it would be honestly, he'll have his own little cult religion afterwards. I swear, I will bet on that.
Oh,
That
I
there will be places that worship him with little idols, pray to him. I'm telling you, it'll go that far. And in that environment, it's not a political movement, dudes. You can't move in. There's no
yeah,
way you can do it.
yeah. People don't realize that JD Vance didn't even like him. JD Vance is not a true believer. JD Vance is like, well, they picked me. It's a job. This is something. This is something I'll have for the rest of my life. That I was vice president of the United States, but he doesn't give a crap. He doesn't. JD
Right.
Vance is very much the person that if dude was gone tomorrow, JD Vance would be sitting in his kitchen in the middle of the night, and some people, very spooky people, would sit him down and tell him, "This is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. And if that's not something you feel like you agree with, well, there is somebody under you that can become president." Like and JD
Right.
Vance would do it. He would do it simply because he has no backbone, and because he would rather be remembered as the person that maybe tried to right the ship a little bit, despite the fact that it's probably going to take about as long as we've been dealing with this buffoon that he's been on the scene to fix it.
There's no, I mean, the ship is going to be way below the waterline at
But
that
it gives,
point.
yeah, and it gives Republicans it gives them their ammo, because what they're going to do is they'll do the same thing to whoever the Democratic president coming in is that they did to Obama, where Obama had to come in and clean up Bush's mess. So he spent the first 4 years just cleaning up, cleaning up, cleaning up, cleaning up, cleaning up. Then when he got into the second term and now he's putting forth the stuff that he wants to do, Republicans are like, "Oh, well, he hasn't really done anything and he's just wasted time and everything." And it's like, you're glossing over it. You have to fix
Right.
what's wrong. We can't spackle over it.
But I think the difference will be is that it's going to be a different world. I think the Republicans have blown themselves up. They can't go back to that. I think if we move to a progressive, which I think we are, a progressive type of government, that people aren't going to buy that BS. If you go to a New Deal stuff, it's going to be almost impossible for them to kind of take it apart. Because the thing about it is that the Democratic establishment doesn't get it. They're about to get wiped out with Republicans. They're not going to be there. It's going to be a different take in a different world.
Yeah,
And I think
because
what you
people see it
describe,
differently. Yeah.
yeah, what you describe is for a bunch of people who lived through the Reagan years and boomers and all that. You're going to have a bunch of people who are not going to buy that bullshit because we've heard that before. Can't buy it. We know what happens, and I think them holding on to that, and especially if you get a total economic disaster, no
Mm-hmm.
one's buying it anymore. Because, like you said, the generation, mine generation, unfortunately, the majority of them are going to be adios, muchachos,
Well,
and
there's going to be more
they're not going to be the power
scrutiny.
base.
Yeah, there's going to be more scrutiny. So then it's not the days of either, you vote for everybody that has a D next to their name or everybody has an R next to their name. No, there's going to be more scrutiny into it, because it was just like
Right.
there's problems on both sides of it. There's even you even have somewhat, and it's this. I know it seems like a weird statement to say. There's somewhat progressive Republicans that are like, "Look, man, like, we get it, and it's like, woo, Republicans and stuff, but some of you are insane and some of you are kind of losing the point." Like, the whole point is, if you're a politician, you're supposed to come in, you're supposed to help, the people from your respective district or whatnot and the country as a whole, and you do your job and you get compensated for it. But when you start doing stuff that's just getting in the way of people being able to do that, you're going to kind of piss off people on both sides. So progressives are definitely are having their chance to step up to the mic. And I
Right.
think that David Hogg is owed a huge,
Right.
huge apology, because they threw him under the bus and backed it over when he suggested that maybe they needed to start primarying within the party and trying to bring in younger progressive people. And people always think that youth, like, age does not denote like necessarily wisdom. Just because
Wisdom.
you've been around the longest doesn't mean you know anything. And like I heard Mike say something in one of his one of his pods recently. You don't need people making decisions about the generations that are coming up that don't affect them. If you're somebody
Right.
that you attended college in the 1960s, and you've been a homeowner since the 1980s or whatnot, and you own multiple homes and you're very comfortable, why are you making decisions about what me as a 39-year-old or the younger generations under that, like, what we do? Why are you making decisions and having the final word on
And the thing about it is that if you're older, it's about adaptability. Do you adapt to the new situation? Or are you just going to hold firm to what you thought the new worked before? because
Yeah,
that's the one thing. Like like in sports, I always like a good example of it was like they talked about Tom Brady, who was a long year, but every year he talked to the younger players and he adapted. His person who didn't adapt to him was his coach, and you saw what happened there. The problem is, as you get older, if you can't see that things are changing and you have to go with it, to adapt to it and see the benefit of it, then you're getting in the way. And what's going on with the Democratic Party is that the establishment doesn't understand it's not about their beliefs, it's about listening to the voters. Because the people that are winning don't have a lot of money, they're listening to the voters. And the voters say, we want this. Okay. And this is what they're trying to do. The
exactly.
problem is you're still trying to phone bank your way into elections. That's not going to work.
Yeah,
And people are changing, and you can't ignore them anymore.
yeah.
And you can't expect them to vote for you. I think the
Yeah,
Republicans are about to
just
find that out.
because. Yeah, to vote for you just because you're a Democrat, and it was just like we're at the point now where it's like I'm considered an elder millennial because I'll be 40 in January, and then you have the younger ones. So the young, the millennials going through Gen Z, the older ones and the younger ones, and everything else like that, because you have younger Gen Z people that are getting into, you have slightly older Gen Z people that are, rolling into their 30s. Like my middle sister, like
Right.
my younger sister, she's like 28 and everything. My youngest sister is like 12, but my other sister's 28, and they're kind of rolling into that. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's just there is a change coming. And like you said, you
Yes.
either adapt to it or you move by. And adapting to it is not doing stuff like there's the one representative, and I think her name is it's like Delora or something like that. She has like wild colored hair or something like that.
Hmm.
She means well, the same way that Bernie means well, but I need you to go. I need you to go. If you want to be useful, mentor, and by mentor, that means actually get behind the younger people that are coming up and everything like that. It was like you're so
Right.
worried about not being a senator or a congressman or congresswoman because that's your job has become your identity. You can make just as much money as a consultant or working for another politician's staff. Like Bernie Sanders would be great as somebody's chief of staff and everything else like that.
Right.
But
But
it's
he's,
like,
I mean, again, ego. Ego will
yeah,
get in your way.
your ego won't let you go, and then you get split down the middle with that because then you start asking, you start getting into the people like Schumer and even Sanders to an extent where you're just like, hey, so in regards to money and stuff, quick question: why do we keep sending money to this one place? Because nobody seemed to
Right.
be able to explain to me in what way, and I was like, is that World War II guilt money? Because I think we're all paid up at that point.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a big. People are questioning. See, that's the thing. People are starting to question it because it's affecting us, and we're beginning to realize. And that's the thing. The scam or the cover or everything they've been trying to say, it's not working. It might. See, I'm 64, but I grew up in this as a teenager in the 70s, not the 50s, and I went to college in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah, so you're
late
along
in
with
the
my
mid
dad.
80s.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
along
so I'm
with my
kind
dad.
of like those what they call, I don't know what we are, Generation Jones, late X, or
Yeah, it's like
late
Generation
Xers.
Jones because my dad is technically a boomer, but my mom is Gen X. Like, my mom is
Right,
born in '65, so she's Gen X. So yeah, there's that sort of weird. There's like that weird gap in between where there's like a
right.
generation that lives in that.
Because I mean, I listen to a lot of boomers going, do you understand? They don't because everything worked out for them. To be honest, everything kind of worked out for them. To be
Well, it's the
honest,
bootstrap myth. A lot of them thought they pulled
mm,
themselves up by their bootstraps because a lot of them grew up with, hard ass parents that were in World War I, World War II.
right,
So they were under this impression that, oh, you just did it with your grit and your muscle and your brawn. Like, they just think that they did that, and they're trapped in like this weird mindset and they can't
right.
see past it.
But they don't also, you see that with the Republican, they don't understand there is no manufacturing to get a job for the rest of your life.
No,
Those
it's
jobs don't
gone.
exist anymore. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
exist
gone.
anymore. Yeah, I mean, those are all gone. And I thought the epitome of that stupidity was someone was talking about there's a not many teenagers got jobs over the summer, and I think it was Good Morning America, and people were going, well, why don't I just go to McDonald's? And I did it as a kid. Do you know how hard it is to get a job at McDonald's now? You don't
It's
walk in to the restaurant.
yeah.
You have to do an AI bullshit. You
You
have to
have to
go
set
through
up a
all that.
profile on a
It's,
website and
I
put your
mean,
information in. It's exhausting. And I
it's
used to argue with
exhausting.
yeah, I'd argue with my dad about that years ago. We're talking maybe 10, 15 years ago. I'd argue with him about that. And I said, Dad, the days of walking down the street and seeing like a help wanted sign in the window, and then you walk in and you're just like, hey, I see you're looking for help. And then the owner walks up, he says, yeah, yeah, I am. And you're like, you know what? I think I'm the person for you. And then you do a hearty handshake and then you have a job. Like
Right.
that doesn't exist anymore. Like you're not walking into an
Doesn't.
office building and working at a job and being like, you're going to work here for the next 40 years and then you're going to get a pension and retire. It's gone.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
they
gone. And so it has to be replaced by a way of where people don't have to worry about certain things like medical and maybe a basic living in order to rebuild what people want and what to do. I think that's the biggest thing in my mind right now. I mean, if you want to talk about fantasies, that's the one thing that I always like watching about Star Trek is they got rid of that, the basic stuff, where you have to worry about it, where you can become more than that. You can pursue what you wanted. Okay, and I think that's something that people want. It's not that I hate the idea that they're going, well, they're lazy, they don't want to work. No, they don't want to work till you die for nothing.
Yes, that is what I tell people. It is not a matter of people wanting to work, but it's one of those things where it's like perfect example. You could have a town where you have a mom and pops, the mom and pops business, and I use it in quotations. And then some corporate entity comes in and they open up and they're like, oh yeah, we're Top Golf or oh we're Taco Bell or something, and we're corporate based, and they come in and they're like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and pay our cashiers and stuff like that. We're going to go ahead and pay them, $18 an hour to start, like our cashiers and everything. They're going to be cross
Right,
trained. They're $18 an hour. They sell food there. Now the mom and pop's place that sells food, they're now complaining because they're like, oh, well, that's going to put us out of business. We're a mom and pop's business. And it's like, so what you're saying is you want somebody to take less money so that you can put more money in your pocket, and you're not offering them health insurance. You're not
right,
offering them pay tax. So what? Maybe you feel generous enough one holiday season, you give them an extra $50 or something in an envelope. It's like the mom and pop's business. Most of it, it was like you're not a mom and pop's business. You have like the biggest house in town. You have brand new
right.
cars in front of your driveway. You have people working for you that while you're at home on Christmas Eve at your gigantic house with your family, somebody's sitting there dealing with customers for your benefit, for your added benefit. And it's just it's tough. I
Yeah,
work
it's
in the
good.
service industry, yeah. So
Yeah, I do to an extent. So that's the thing. We have to rethink the entire economic thing. To me, it's rebuilding a new deal, so where you don't have to work, not worrying about if you can go to the doctor and paying for it. I think would be just like, could you imagine that for people? Just that whole thing to get taken care of is great, and not to worry about it because that allows you to do other stuff. That allows you not to worry about it. I mean, I
it
know
keeps
people say,
people from
well,
passing away. The amount of people
yes,
that pass away because they're like, I can't go to the hospital because I cannot afford to have a bill. So they're just like, I'm just going to ignore it. And then they pass away because of that. Or they damage themselves, irreparably for life, maim themselves for
right,
life for something because they couldn't go to the hospital to get it taken care of. And it's like, you telling me that you can't find a way to make this work to do universal health care, but you're literally using money to drop things on places, and you're just doing it and throw like it's the equivalent of just it's kind of the equivalent of like peeing into the wind that's
Right.
blowing into you. Like, and nobody sees any issue with that. But for stuff like
But
that to
they
work,
are
they
now.
have to both want it. Both
Yeah,
sides have
they
to want it. And there are
yeah, they
Democrats that don't want universal health care because
right.
if we had universal health care, that's one less thing that they can promise when they campaign. So now they actually have to find something else to add to their campaign promises.
Silly. To me that's silly.
Yeah,
Because you could serve the public with as a representative without having to promise anything. That's part of the problem that everything has because it's a false narrative of scarcity, which we don't have. We can do it all. We really could. And I don't begrudge anyone making money or corporations. What I begrudge is that they're not paying their fair taxes and not taking care of their people. Because you can still profit and people can have a living wage.
exactly.
It's simple as that. But again, this has been perverted by 40 years of Reaganism,
Yeah.
which is, I think, is slowly dying as it's coming to an end. This is not the end of capitalism.
No, not at
It's
all.
the end of this version of capitalism.
Yep.
Because capitalism does not function well with oligarchs
Mhm.
and monopolies. That's
Yeah.
why monopolies and oligarchs always fall. Carnegie, Rockefeller, they always fell apart
The
because you
Vanderbilts, yeah,
can't hold
that's
it.
why
The
they're
Vanderbilts.
it eventually happens. It just it's inevitable that it happens.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll never understand people not understand the irony of if the living wage is so low, how do you expect people to be able to afford when you increase things? Like when you increase the price of things, how do you expect them to be able to afford that price increase? Oh, you want them to go and get credit cards? Guess what? If they barely have money to pay their bills, what makes you think you're going to get your money? Your what credit makes a credit card company think they're
The
going to get
interest.
their money?
Yeah, it's all false narratives. But here's the thing: it's all coming because they squeezed it so hard. It's coming to an end, like they always do, and they're starting to see that because in the end, this is the thing that they're beginning to realize, and they've been trying to stop over these years. The government is still of the people, by the people, and for the people. And when the people start getting pissy and start to figure stuff out, that's where change happens. And that's what we're seeing right now. And they can't hide it anymore. They've tried it. But they think the bullshit is ending. Is it going to be easy? No. I think November is going to be tighter than we thought. And I think it's going to be a fight. But in the end, all their lies are not going to work. And I
Yeah,
think we're going to come out on this end.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what happens and kind of the change with it. And when we get to that point, because again, this has been a long 2 years, man. Oof,
Right, I know.
this has been a very long 2 years. It's like the worst SNL skit you've ever seen. But it's like when this is all said and done and we start the rebuilding, you kind of have to lop the head off of both sides of it and kind of clean house and try to get
Yeah.
people that are actually going to understand what it's like what bipartisanship really is, but also people that are going to necessarily fight. I don't have an
Yeah.
outward problem with Hakeem Jeffries. I don't have a problem with Cory Booker or anything else like that. But as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the old guard, you're part of the establishment. You don't really serve a purpose at this point. That's why
No.
I don't want to hear when Jeffries has to say anything or hear about a letter or he gives up and gives a speech. That's why I call him all talk Obama, because in his
Right.
mind he's styling himself after Barack, and it was like your words are hollow if there's no meaning behind, like if there's no real meaning or action behind it. It's just you talking.
Right.
There's
So
it's nothing
the
to it.
one thing, yeah, the one thing we all just got to hold on right now is that, yeah, this is a message we all hear all the time: vote blue no matter what, because we have to this time. Because the other side is too horrendous. We have to crush that. After that, after that, when we can start wielding power like we should, then you start making changes within the party. Got to remember that the change is already happening,
Mhm.
but we have to make sure we have the control and to keep the other people off. and to move forward from there and start lopping off heads on the other side. Because the one thing I want more than anything is justice. I want tribunals. I want tribunals for the ICE people. I want tribunals for those who ripped us up. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not talking about justice system. I'm talking about what they did in South Africa at the end of apartheid. They had tribunals, and those who had done horrific acts had to pay for them. And we have that right now with ICE and all going on, and those who have stolen a lot of money. Yes, I want to see Baron Trump in front of a fucking tribunal. How come you have $150 million?
For somebody
Same thing
that
with Eric.
You haven't done anything.
Right.
Like, how do you
I haven't done a damn thing.
Yeah, I want questions answered as to why Jared Kushner, who has no official government standing whatsoever, is sitting down in meetings that he should not be in.
No,
I want to know
exactly.
why. I want to know why Kegsbreath's wife is accompanying him to military strategy meetings and things. Like, I need to understand this, because it's like, it's the U.S. government. It's not a country club. But the biggest enemy to democracy and the biggest enemy within, the liberal sect and the Democratic sect is complacency.
Right.
If they win like they want to win, it's that complacency of, oh, well, you know what? We're going to take the time and we're going to, kind of work this out and we're going to go through the proper. No, you need to start with that. The people need to see you start with that, because otherwise all you're going to do is waste another 4 years. Exactly. And what's going to happen is, in that 4 years, things will start to improve, and all of the people on the right that have become so disillusioned that they've actually started voting on the left are going to be like, oh, well, everything's better now, so it must be because the Republicans did it. And then they start voting Republican again, and then we start on this weird merry-go-round again.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, everything has to change hardcore, whether we like it or not. And that's the thing. We got to have people who will make those changes. Yeah, and absolutely. So, but the first step in November is to bring back the power and start dragging bodies in front of congressional hearings and watch them squirm.
And putting stopgaps in, exactly. To prevent this from happening. There's no reason why the checks and balances thing that all of us learned in school is suddenly thrown out because this toddler doesn't want to deal with that, and people don't want to tell him no because they're so busy loading up their pockets that, God forbid, they stop doing that to say, hey, this is what it is. And it's like the fight is everywhere. It's not just in Congress. Exactly. It's in the judicial branch, the executive. Like, it needs to be a complete clean house of it. Like, I want the agencies, the 3-letter agencies, to do what they would normally do.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to vet these people. I want them to dig and find these people that are going to try to hide, because they're going to try to hide within government.
Oh, yeah.
And act like, oh, yeah, they're going to scrub their social media. They're going to try. No, I want all of that out in the open. If you want to have the news cycle overloaded with something, let it be with that. Let us actually see something. I don't want to see committees where they don't do anything. We have enough committees where they softball questions to these people and nothing happens. No. I need to see RFK in front. I need to see RFK being embarrassed on TV. I need to see him ripped.
If we're going to do any kind of,
I need him in jail.
One last thing I want to say, because I'm missing the Dodger game. I get to it.
Yeah, I got to get off too. I got work in the morning.
Well, one last thing. I don't want Trump impeached. I want all his people around here impeached. I want Trump to watch it. I want him to suffer. But I want the first person I want off this planet or off this mess is RFK Jr. Because anyone who's done the most harm to America is him. Period. End discussion. That man needs to be impeached for what he's done. Because I don't know what tomorrow we can't eat. Okay.
Oh, now it's blueberries.
Yeah. Oh, you missed the alfalfa. Did you get the alfalfa sprouts?
You said what?
Alfalfa sprouts in Michigan now.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Luckily, I hate blueberries and everything. They're very big up here in New England. I despise blueberries. So I'm like, that's fine. But lettuce, I put lettuce on a lot of stuff, and that
that was
but it
bad.
just that whole thing was just crazy. I was like, when that was announced that he was going to be that person, I was like, this made about as much sense as him making Ben Carson the head of HUD.
HUD, yeah.
HUD during the first.
Who died later of COVID, sadly, because he wouldn't mask.
Yeah. It's pleasure as always. I'm glad I actually got a chance to talk to Will. I've been listening to you guys for years on Boomers Pod.
Great.
So
Appreciate
so
you,
great
partner.
to talk to you.
Don't be a stranger. Real quick, if you guys want to follow him, I already checked your button. I did that for you, sir. You can follow me at RJ12764 TikTok, Binder38US on Substack and on YouTube. I have a paid subscription on Substack. Email me at kumquat6@outlook.com. I always love emails. Or text me at 470-236-2403. If you want to give me a one-time donation to help my work, I'll send you a PayPal link. Partner, it's been fun talking to you. I hope we talk again. You be safe, all right?
Yes. Take it easy, Will.
All right. Take care, everyone. Be safe.